This is the Certifiable Environmental Professional Podcast, and I'm your host, Sam Hopstone. This is my journey to uncover the untold tales from the resumes of fascinating professionals shaping our planet's future.
Certifiable environmental professional.
And you're listening to Certifiable Environmental Professional Podcast.
The Certifiable Environmental Professional Podcast, Episode 3. Could you give us your name, your current occupation? So that's like, your title and actually what you do all day, and then where you're stationed.
My name is Jennifer. My current occupation is Environmental Compliance Lead. I am working with ESA, Environmental Science Associates, remotely. My location is in Santa Cruz. And right now, our team is working on my crew and I work remotely, and we help manage the team of bios in the field doing environmental compliance. So there's a lot of permit interpretations, and we do QC of their DMRs. We help them basically work their way through creating CCIDs and just facilitating their workflow out in the field. We're basically desk jockeys for those guys out there now.
Fantastic. You said you're in Santa Cruz. Are you like in the city, or do you live up in the forest? What's it like over there?
I'm in the city. Yeah. I should be in the forest. It's much cheaper up there.
Yeah, easier said than done.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
Oh man, always coffee.
I've got a cold cup of Pete's Major Dickinson's blend here.
Okay, no, I need my coffee has to be warm for sure. It is the first start to my day. It's a crucial part of my process.
I'm going to switch up the question order. This one I love. I remember, I don't know if it was the first day we met or like one of the icebreaker meetings. I asked, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? And you just right off the bat said, I hate ice cream. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be a rocky road kind of relationship.
I do. Yeah, fun fact. I hate ice cream. I also hate bacon. So these are two things I try not to tell people, because those are people's favorite things. And the reason for why I hate ice cream might be somewhat interesting, but I think it's a waste of time. You literally just put it in your mouth and it melts. You don't even really, you don't eat it, you don't chew it. And I don't see the point of it. I can't stand it. And I guess I do have sensitive teeth, but that's really not the reason. I don't know. I can't stand ice cream. I don't like texture. The flavors don't, do anything for me. I just can't stand it.
I love it. It's a fresh perspective, one that I never considered my whole life until like 2023.
Yeah, and when I tell people that, they literally think that I'm just like some abnormal kind of human. So I just stay away from that topic.
Oh, good times. Okay, moving on. What gets you excited about living in Santa Cruz?
Gosh, what doesn't get me excited about living in Santa Cruz? I love being by the ocean, first and foremost. I love that it's a small town. It's not too crowded. There's like the perfect amount of people here to keep things interesting and exciting, and you can meet new people, but there's not too much. I can't stand like a super busy city with a lot of traffic. And geographically too, it's just small. So I just like that little small town vibe. And there's so much stuff to do here, from surfing to paddling to kayaking, all your water sports, just even going to the beach, going to the ocean. I'm 5 minutes away. I can go any single day to just kind of de-stress and get away. And then I have the mountains, hiking, backpacking. That's just 20 minutes away. So I kind of get the best of both worlds here. And then the other thing too that I love is just the community here in general. I feel like we all kind of share the same values. specifically like environmental values. We value sustainability here. Like people don't buy water bottles here. Okay. Like everybody in town carries their own water bottle and it's covered in all their little stickers. Um, we all recycle. A large majority of the population here composts. Reducing their carbon footprint. You see so many people biking and walking. Obviously some people do drive, but for the most part, they'll bike or walk wherever they can, or e-bikes. Um, yeah, I just love it. It's not like a concrete jungle. It's not just full of buildings. We have, one or two of everything we need here. And everything's really close and it's just perfect. But definitely it's obviously the ocean for me. It's just being able to go and feel the sand in my toes and get that salty air. Um, it's crucial for me. And the people. That and the people.
You just hit like all pieces of the pie. Yeah, I feel like I've never had a bad day in Santa Cruz. Even sitting in traffic, I'm like, cool, let's just open the window and get some fresh air and chill on the highway.
Yeah,
It's good.
and that's exactly it. And it's like even when I go away on vacation, I could go be in like Baja or Tahiti because I travel a lot. And after like a week and a half or two, I'm like so excited to come home. And the minute I'm driving over 17,
Yeah,
just
driving
coming into
down.
the mountains, I'm like, oh, I'm home and I love it. I've never had that anywhere else where I'm like, oh man, I'm so happy to be home. And then even when I am out like in Baja and Tahiti, right? Like the reason we go there is because you have that ocean scenic getaway. And I have that here. So even when I am out traveling, I'm like, gosh, this is like home. I have this at home.
Outstanding. Okay, let's
Yeah.
take a I'd like to follow your career arc starting with undergraduate or even in high school. Did you express any interest in wildlife biology, or I'm getting some outdoorsy vibes. So yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, if you want to start in high school, did you have any interests or extracurriculars that kind of led you this way?
Yeah, so my story I think is going to be different than any story you would hear on here. This was kind of inherited for me. It's kind of in my genes. I was born into the
Family
field.
business. Yeah.
Yeah, quite literally, when I was in high school, God, what am I talking about? From elementary school, junior high, all throughout my whole entire academic career. My mom is also a biologist. She has her PhD in zoology, actually, and she was working on getting her master's degree, which was on salt marsh harvest miles. And then she got her PhD, where she was working with CTS and California red-legged frog. And she always brought me into the field with her. I mean, I remember being 12 and just getting my field clothes on and going out into the field with her. And it first started with the salt marsh harvest mouse trapping out in Valviso here in like I guess I'd say Fremont, California. And we would go out and canoe through the salt flats in the marsh and set up traps. And it was just the funnest thing for me. And then when we would get the mice and I would help her collect data, it was all just very exciting for me. And then growing up, we got into CTS trapping, pitfall traps. This was all like part of her research that she was doing through college, and she was a single mom. So and I do believe you guys will hear her story, but she always brought me with her. She didn't have a choice. And so I just, I was lucky enough that from a very early age, I just was always in the field. I got the experience of working with these critters hands-on. I got the handling time. And at that time, I didn't even know that it would pay off. Um, but
You
also,
start that resume in like fifth grade.
yeah, yeah,
Already
exactly.
got
So I'm four.
10,000 handles under my belt here.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, like I just want to stress, like that's not common. I got so lucky. Having that experience definitely created my little niche for me at this point in my career. I don't take it for granted. I'm very grateful. But all that time in the field, so when I was younger, I would say like 12 to 18, it was really just kind of like fun. It was exciting. It was interesting. It kept me extremely busy, and I did love to be outdoors. At that point, I realized like I never wanted to be in an office. I couldn't imagine anybody sticking me in like four walls or being in a cubicle farm for 8 hours a day. After being in the field, from 12 to 18, um, and just experiencing, that sunshine every day and being outside and not just feeling condemned to a building, I just knew that was going to be it for me. Um, yeah, it was so magical, just wildlife biology, biologist, getting to work in the field every day. It's not even just about obviously these critters that we love to work with, but just that ability, yeah, to be outside. And so then at like I would say like 18 to 25, I I was in school and I was going to start, college, and I just started to get a lot more interested in why are we doing what we do. Um and I just really started to deepen my understanding of like the challenges that the environment was facing and like the role that biodiversity plays in sustainability, and what does it mean to be sustainable and how can we do that. It all fascinated me as I started digging a little bit deeper into, the why of why are we doing this? What are endangered species? Why do we care? Who cares about a frog, right? I mean, people would say that all the time. And so yeah, I would say like 18 to 25, I just really started to deepen my knowledge and understanding. And that's so originally I'm also fascinated and have a passion for fitness. I actually became a personal trainer when I was 18, before college. And that
Oh
was my
wow,
passion. Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. And so
Cool.
that was my passion. I enjoyed it. It was a passion. And I did do personal training for about 5 years, but I loved the idea of fitness and staying healthy, but I learned very quickly that that's not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I was in school for kinesiology, actually at San Jose State. And then I ended up actually switching to fisheries and wildlife. When I went to college late for fisheries and wildlife. I was, oh, I don't know, like 29 or something, maybe 28. So, yeah, I switched my career pretty late in the game, but mind you, I had all of the experience already, the field experience. So, yeah, I started late. I switched my career, and then I ended up applying at Oregon State University because I knew now that I was going to be having to do like online an online degree program, and I wanted the absolute best online degree program for fisheries and wildlife. And after doing the research, I found out that that was at Oregon State University. I don't recommend that to anybody at all. And if I didn't have the field experience that I already had, I would have never been able to accomplish getting my degree online. Um, because it was obviously, it's a science-based career. I had to do labs on my own. Like they would send me the equipment, I had to do it all. And then obviously all the field work,
That's
research
wild.
projects. It was crazy. I didn't even think about it. But yeah, so I was sent out to do I'll never forget. So the research project that I chose to do was on CTS, upland habitat, um and aquatic habitat. And basically, is there a correlation between the number of squirrel burrows in the vicinity to the number of CTS that would be present? And so, and I was alone. My mentor, it was all online. So it was challenging for sure, but I had amazing resources. I had my mom, and again, I already had the field experience. So thank gosh I was able to get through that. It was super
You
intense.
you had the motivation. Yeah, you had the motivation and the support.
Yeah, exactly. I had, some of my mom's colleagues actually came out and met me in the field and helped me.
Nice.
So it wasn't easy, but I got it done. Yeah, I was absolutely determined. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Started with kinesiology, rebooted, went back to Oregon or went to Oregon remote for fisheries and wildlife. Were you involved in any societies or extracurricular? I guess it's hard to connect remotely, but were you involved in anything locally at the time or hanging
Yeah,
out at
exactly.
TWS?
Yeah, exactly. So, unfortunately I wasn't. And again, having to go through college while also working part-time, it was extremely busy. I
That's
want to
enough.
say I didn't have time, but
That's
that's an
plenty.
excuse. Yeah. Um, if I have more time now, and it's funny because when you brought that question up, I was like, I should, and if I did, I would tell you that it would probably be with the Nature Conservancy.
Looking back, for me at least, it always feels like, oh yeah, that would have been cool if there was more things that I did then, but
Yeah.
there was plenty going on at the time.
Hmm.
I was full.
Yeah, well,
Um,
and that is part of the advice I would give is to look into more things like that, like the Wildlife Society or Nature Conservancy, and become a part of it. Because there's a lot of opportunity there to social network and just figure out,
so
where you want to go, what you want to do, what available resources are there. So I would recommend that.
yeah, being early career, like you don't have to commit. You can just show up and like see what's cooking. Like that's fine. It's
Yeah,
low level of how do you say that? Low stress level, low stakes, low risk. Like you just show up to a
yeah,
thing. Usually there's pizza, like cool.
yeah. Well, wildlife biology. So back in my day, 20 years ago, there was a lot of work available for hands-on, like doing, pitfall trapping or, California red-legged frog relocations. There was just a lot more hands-on stuff. Now there is a lot of monitoring involved, and honestly, I would say it's going to be the beginning of any wildlife biologist's career is monitoring, and it's just something that you need to deal with. But also, in the same note, it's an absolutely amazing, perfect opportunity to really dive into environmental compliance and how to apply it. You learn so much out in the field. And where I was going with that is that in the field, we would spend, it's 10 to 12-hour days. I did on a lot of the projects I was working. It was intense. I did a lot of traveling. I was pretty much never home for like 15 years. So yeah, I didn't have a lot of extra time.
Fantastic. Nailed it. Should I skip the next one? How did you know you wanted to pursue environmental work? That's a given.
Yeah.
That one's already
Yeah.
done.
Like I said, yeah, it was inherited in me. Yeah. And I did like getting dirty. I'm not gonna lie. I love being in the pond. I did a lot of aquatic surveys, and I love being in the pond. I love aquatic surveys, dip netting, seining with colleagues, looking for tadpoles and things. I loved it. I loved getting dirty. You have to.
Yeah. Every it's like it's invigorating. I can do a
Yeah.
12 or 14-hour day in the field and spending 6 hours like actually in the office at my desk, 6 hours of like hard work on a document that's like just as draining as 12 or 14 hours in the
Oh
field.
yeah.
Like it's just
Totally.
burns different.
Yeah. That is why I will
Okay,
never write a SWIP. No, thank you.
yeah, fair enough. It's homework. Okay, fast forwarding to now. So, there are like permit specific approvals and certifications, but I really want to learn more from you. I hope to hear more about your experience outside of permit specific, like your 10A1A and just interacting with an agency, how your first 10A1A, was obtained and how that came about and maybe how it looks differently today, right? It's probably different from 15 years ago. So that's specifically like wildlife biology related professional
Mhm.
certifications. We could do like a whole other thing on QSP and I could talk all day about SWIP, but really interested in
Yeah.
bio right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No
So
SWIP.
certifications.
Um, that's actually a really great question. So again, the thing with 10A1A permits is that I will say back in the day, it was a bit easier to get your 10A1A permit. The requirements were way more flexible. It was a lot less rigid.
Like,
But for me,
can I
yeah.
interrupt there? Like, how so? Like requirements
Well,
for experience or just the
yeah.
paperwork or what?
So a couple reasons. One is experience. Yes. Like they never used to ask you how many egg masses you handled. That was not a requirement ever. That's a new thing. Um, I feel like the handling time hours is about the same. Um, but also just even if you want to be a San Joaquin Kit Fox DB, and so I would assume it's the same if you applied for a 10A1A permit. I haven't done that for San Joaquin Kit Fox, but not only can you just have experience monitoring and or doing camera trapping for San Joaquin Kit Fox, it has to be like in a specific region. Has to be. So it's just some little things that just make it a lot more rigid, and even just the amount of information they request from you. Like if you're not keeping track of all your projects that you've been on and the hours you worked and the actual amounts of handle time, you're going to have a problem trying to apply for your permit because they want like these exact projects and the exact number of handles on your project. So this is a really great piece of information if anybody's just starting out or even mid-career. I kept an Excel sheet of every single project I had been on from the beginning, and that included every single handle, whether it's an egg mass, a larvae, a juvie, an adult, did I relocate it, etc. So I think I can't even believe I had all that information still recently. But so yeah, just they require a lot more information, project specific, location specific. Yeah, like the whole egg mass thing, that was new. And then the other reason why it's harder these days is because back in the day, there was a lot more opportunity for handle time with all of these species. Now it's almost impossible to get handle time, and a lot of that changed when the agency changed the definition of take. So before it never used to include um harass or threaten, harm, harass, or threaten. um and now it does, and that changes the game. Like, so even burrow excavations now, that is technically harassing. And it's almost impossible to get permission to do that unless you're doing a training, even just doing surveys. You have to get permission. And it's really hard, like I said, unless you're doing it for a research project. So unfortunately, these days, to get handling time, it has to be you're either doing an internship with someone else who's doing a research project, or you're doing a research project of your own, or else it's very unlikely that you're going to get that handle time. And for me, and now also, lastly, it takes years for them to process your applications. Even permit renewals take so long. And so I have a colleague, I haven't even submitted for my own 10A1A permit. I am currently an independent investigator on another 10A1A permit. So there's 3 levels that you could be listed under someone's permit. One is as like a junior associate, who can only handle or work on that permit if the actual permit holder is there. I'm an independent investigator, which means I can work under that permit and I don't need that person to be there. I haven't even gone to apply for my own because when it came time, I'm already in that stage now where I just know it's going to take years before they would even accept it. Now, it's not going to stop me from doing it. I just haven't had to. But I will. Because yeah, like I was saying, a colleague of mine, he applied for his permit and he's still been waiting. It's been 3 years. So, if anybody is interested in definitely seeking out to get their own 10A1A permit, again, even just to get your handle time, you got an internship or do a research project and keep track of your hours and your projects from the start.
Yeah, the takeaway here is start your resume before you even do any work. That's kind of similar in the engineering realm. It's like if you're going to pursue licensure, you want to know what experience you your experience should be targeted, and like what you're experiencing before you're even doing it, so you write it down properly. There's a whole learning curve there, so try and finish the curve at the beginning, not at the end.
That's right. In biology, you basically you need to add every project to your resume. And then what you do is you have your master resume with every single 100 jobs on it. And then obviously you can edit your resume based on like what's needed or what's asked of you. It could be species specific, or whatever, like work specific. That's what I do.
What about I'm in the water and bio realm, so I feel like I'm predominantly working with terrestrial species. Do you do any avian work? And I was you're talking about CTS, like regional, or sorry, Kit Fox regional experience. I was like, what about bald eagle? Like, does it have to be has to be, you saw a bald eagle at Millerton Lake, Lake Tahoe's not okay. If you can speak to that, or I got to get Ariana on here and have a whole bird
Yeah, I
chat.
don't do much avian work at all. The most
Okay.
I've done is just, like nesting bird surveys and monitoring when they were redoing the bridge like over by San Francisco or something. Not
Golden
a
Gate
whole
or
lot of bird work.
Dumbarton? No, Dumbarton was like the 80s or the 90s.
No,
Never
it
mind.
was,
Golden Gate, or not Golden Gate, the Bay Bridge, Oakland.
yeah, that's what it
Okay.
was. Yep.
Like on Yerba Buena.
Yes.
So cool.
And that's it. Other than that, no, I don't do too much bird work. And that's the thing too in biology. It's like we all have a little bit of experience, right, with each species, but then you're also going to hone in and focus on like, maybe one or two specific species where you can really, narrow down and get your hours and handling time and focus your projects around that species. That's kind of typically how it is. So like I'm a herper, I'm amphibians and reptiles working mostly with California red-legged frog, California tiger salamander, but of course I have experience with San Joaquin kit fox, burrowing owls, Alameda garter whip snake, and San Francisco garter snake. So
Shout out to Central California herps.
yeah.
Okay, next question. What's the craziest day of field work you can remember? It could be happy crazy, it could be sad crazy. The one that I was coming to mind was like 20-foot deep salamander day.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with we did and I actually worked this project with my mom, which was pretty cool, but we did a pond draining at Los Vaqueros watershed, and we just loved working with each other too. This was like about to be an epic field day. And the goal was basically they were going to do a pond draining of this giant pond, like from scratch, right? Full of water. And we had just me and like my 8 colleagues and a bunch of ice chests and nets and things. And they just started draining this pond, right? And immediately we're already looking for like adults kind of along the surface that sense things are going on and can feel the vibrations of the pumping and whatnot. And we're getting these adult frogs, and we're seining and doing all the things. This was obviously, closer to the time that, there's no egg masses obviously in the water. It's just like little juvenile, little juvenile baby frogs.
Spring break.
Yep. And so we're all in there, and as the water's draining out, and now we're just in like cow pond, like it's just mucky and it's deep, and we're all in our waders. And as the water, we're all kind of chilling. Yeah, we're all kind of chilling, and we were like, okay, we're just gonna wait for this water to go down. We're all eating lunch, and then like, all of a sudden the water is like basically gone, and you just see thousands of little juvenile frogs. They're all red-legged frogs, literally just jumping everywhere. I mean, it was insane, and we all just dive bomb into this cow pond, and we're literally, and of course you can't barely move, so we're like chucking through the mud, all of us, and we each have like a little ice chest, and so we're all covered in mud, and we're just all of us. I mean, we just look ridiculous, but we're having the time of our life, and we're just trying to get as many of these frogs into our bucket. Some of them are just like flying in the bucket, and people are falling in the mud. We're eating mud at this point. We had some people on shore that were like taking the full buckets and giving us the empty ones. And it was just funny to watch. You know, you probably had to be there. I have some amazing pictures from that day where we're just covered in mud in our waders. And there's like people in the dead center of the pond up to, you know, chest high in mud trying to move and they can't. I would say that was one of my most epic field days. Because it covered everything. Like I got to work with the colleagues that I loved. I got to get dirty. It was an amazing experience, and we had thousands of, you know, these live species that we got to relocate. So that was, I don't know about craziest, but it was definitely one of my most memorable and most fun and epic field days. And I
Yeah.
never got to do something like that ever again. It was a once in a lifetime career thing.
Yeah, you run back to your laptop and note that down. I got 20,000 reloads in like 4
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, it was amazing.
just bucketing. Let's
Yeah.
go.
And that's what I'm saying though. Unfortunately, like work
Crazy.
like that is a little harder to come by these days. So but it is what it is, you know. We take it for what it is today.
Right. They don't have people aren't doing like Facebook Lives from a reservoir draining to invite college students. You know, you got to
Yeah.
network and make that connection beforehand. And then when an
Yeah.
activity is coming up, principal investigators and handlers will reach out to junior scientists that they've, you know, how do you say that they have sensed an interest from. So
Yeah.
that's how that goes down, right? You network first, the opportunity
Yep.
comes up, they'll make the call, and if you're free, you get to go.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, you just reminded me, we also did the Carmel River reroute. They were trying
So
to,
cool.
Dude, that was literally
That's sick.
my favorite project of my entire life. It was like a 3-year project, and at first they just placed us in tents right in the middle of the forest in right by the Carmel Valley River. Me and my colleagues just living our absolute best life. We knew there was a mountain lion nearby hanging out. And we just lived in the forest. We were camping. We were getting paid to camp. And by the light of the moon in the nighttime, we would go out in a boat and we would do our nighttime surveys. And again, we would get hundreds of California red-legged frogs by the boat. This should have been my most epic experience. But we went out in teams of 2. So one person would drive the little boat. And then no joke, the other person is laying down on their stomach on the front of the boat, and we're just like creeping along the shore, going along the whole river, you know, with our little headlights and just catching all these frogs at night. And then we'd go home and sleep. And in the daytime we would go out and do, you know, our larval surveys and stuff. And that was absolutely epic. And they actually had to reroute the river underground. And the first time they did it, they put these pipes underground, and they clearly didn't think it through enough. So they start rerouting the river and through these pipes underneath the ground, right?
Do you mean just like bypass pipes?
Yeah.
And then they just
And
did
they
like a
start
cut and cover? They just buried
Yep.
them?
And yes, except they didn't stay buried, and these pipes began to rise up. And
I
so
mean,
all of a
water's
sudden we had-
heavy, right, guys? Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. I was like, please, who's your hydrologist?
Yo.
This isn't working. And so they had to do it again. But anyways, eventually, so we were out there for 3 years, right? It took a long time for this water to get rerouted through these pipes. And every night we're just out there
Yeah.
doing our surveys, and the water's getting lower and lower. And then finally, when all the water was gone, we actually got to be there when they blew up the dam. So that was
Demo
pretty
day?
epic. Yeah, demo day, and they blew up this dam. It was just amazing. And the whole point was to, you know, increase spawning habitat for steelhead. So that was another super epic project. That was actually the absolute favorite of my career. That will go down in history. It was absolutely amazing. And again, thousands of frogs handled of all stages of life. So another great experience.
Love it. Okay, next question to help close out is, do you have we dropped a couple of gems throughout, but can you think of any elevator advice, just like 30 seconds for budding environmental professionals? And as you've discussed, right, this could be children, students, college, even college graduates, or folks that are retirees, you know, looking to get back in the game.
I think honestly, the
takeaways?
advice I have, it covers the entire board.
Covered it.
Uh,
Yeah.
like, and as you said, like number one, like do internships, or research to really get in there, get some handle time, get some experience, stay connected, network, and then stay connected. Your social network in the field of biology is going to be super crucial, especially if you can connect with some of the OGs of our time. Um, and honestly, my key star piece of evidence is never give up. You know, going into a field of biology isn't just something where like, you know, a lot of other jobs, you just, okay, cool, you go through college, you get your first job, it's great, and you just work your way up and through the office, and it's super easy. You set your goals, here's what you do, you get to the next level. In biology, it's a little bit more complicated. Again, you have to stay socially connected, you have to continue to network. You know, and you have to just never give up, never ever give up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep taking jobs, you know, keep growing. It takes time to actually genuinely probably be, you know, top tier in biology. It takes time. It takes field time and experience. So just keep going.
And I feel like with wildlife biology specifically, the work is highly seasonal. So you'll see
Yep.
recurring waves of specific species and specific work that comes up. So it's not like a door closes for eternity. You know, doors close for the season, and that's just how it is. But it'll come right back up in 9 months. So just,
Mhm.
you know, watching that cycle and being ready the next time it comes up to jump. You have months to network and establish relationships, and then you know when the rains come, you know,
Yep.
specific activities are going to come up, and you know, even
Yep.
if you do miss it the first time, it's not missing it. It's just that just means the next year is going to be your first year
Yep.
that you jump in.
Yep. And you might apply for jobs and not get them, or you might get some jobs and end up hating it. But again, stay with it, whether it's even for a year or two, gain the experience, build your resume, and then move on. And that's what I mean. You like sometimes, yes, it's going to be boring and tedious and hard work, and it's going to suck. Keep
But,
going, because
yeah,
the
there's
longer you're in it, the better it gets.
totally there's value there, whether it's fun or whether it's hard work. There's
Yeah.
value for both.
Yeah, bottom line is I didn't jump right into being like a, you know, a qualified DB, CTS DB, right? It
Tier
took
one.
20 years of experience. Yeah, exactly. You don't jump right out into being, you know, a level 5 probiologist DB. You have to work for it. You have to earn it. It takes time. So go the distance, man. Take the journey. Yeah.